Oh, hey guys. Was not expecting visitors in my room here. Sorry about that. Anyways, Alex Kahn here, and we are going to do a movie review for you guys. And as part of my new vlog miniseries here, I'm going to talk about Disney movies that I haven't seen yet. Because you know me, I'm a huge Disney fan, but I find it kind of weird that I haven't seen, every Disney movie out there. I've seen a lot, but I haven't seen all of them. So for this week, I'm watching Tomorrowland, made in 2015, starring George Clooney and a bunch of other actors whose names I cannot recall. Oh yeah, Hugh Laurie. I hope that's right. And there's some other actors too. I'm just really bad with names, but you can always IMDb it if you like. The whole theme of this movie is Tomorrowland, which if you had been to Disneyland or Walt Disney World, you would know what Tomorrowland is. It's basically a glimpse of what the future could be like. But the year is 2020, and if you look at the attractions at Tomorrowland, you would know that they're slightly outdated. But that's the appeal of it. It's more of a retro future that Tomorrowland gives the guests. It's been 5 years since the movie came out, and I'm just now watching it. The reason why I'm just now watching it is I didn't really know what this movie was really about. Like, I saw the previews. It had It's a Small World, and then they had them getting zapped into another place, Tomorrowland. So I always wanted to watch this movie. I just was not compelled to watch this movie. So I'm going to give you a basic plot summary here. Fortunately, because of the things I want to talk about, I'm probably going to give you some spoilers, but I'm not going to give away any major spoilers. So yeah, this movie was made in 2015, and it's set in modern times. But because of the nature of this movie, it does change dimensions, which portrays a future that we haven't actually been in yet. So it's Tomorrowland, obviously. This movie does start off in 1964. 1964, that was the World Trade Fair in New York, and that's where they actually first debuted the It's a Small World attraction by Disney. And I believe Carousel of Progress also debuted in the 1964 World Trade Fair in New York. So that was really cool to see. That whole recreation of 1964, that exhibit, was really awesome. They even had some really classic Disney characters walking around and greeting guests. Now, some people are wondering why they showed It's a Small World in a movie called Tomorrowland. Well, that's because, as I said, It's a Small World did debut at the 1964 World Trade Fair. Now, when this boy, who is later George Clooney, when he rides this ride, he's given a pin by this young girl who was really impressed by his creativity. So she gives him this pin. He gets on the boat ride, and that's where he's transported from It's a Small World into this Tomorrowland dimension. So he goes to this world, and then he later gets kicked out of this world, and then you find out why he gets kicked out of it. Then you meet this other girl who's kind of in the same shoes that George Clooney was as a kid. She gets invited to this world, and then she wants to go to this world. So she meets George Clooney in his later years, and she asks him how to get there. And at this stage in his life, George Clooney is no longer this optimistic kid who wants to build the future. He's this really disgruntled old man who is just really bitter about life. And you find out why he is bitter about life later on. I'm not going to spoil that for you. So that's basically the movie in a nutshell. They do go to Tomorrowland, but I want to review this movie now. I think, the acting was great all across the board. This movie was definitely really solid. My problem with this movie, it has nothing to do with the filmmaking, the directing, the editing. I think all of that was made really competently, and the soundtrack was amazing. I can't even remember the composer's name. It's like Michael Giacchino. I forgot. He also did the Speed Racer soundtrack. But fantastic score. The only thing I didn't like was the actual storytelling. Like, I liked it, but I think it could have been told a lot better. Because the movie's called Tomorrowland, I expected the movie to take place entirely in Tomorrowland. A huge chunk of this movie takes place in modern times, this really mundane Earth setting. And that's what kind of turned me off from this movie. I mean, I still liked it, but I felt like it could have been better if it didn't take place in today's world. The best scenes took place at the 1964 World's Fair in New York, and then later on when they traveled dimensions into Tomorrowland. This movie was not so much about Tomorrowland, it was more about the potential of there being a Tomorrowland. I didn't want that because I already live in that world where we have the Magic Kingdom, we have Tomorrowland, and we can see what the future could be like. I don't want to see what it could be like. I want to see a movie that puts us in Tomorrowland. What I envisioned this movie to be when I saw the trailer was I thought the movie would take place entirely in 1964 in a retro future. That would have been cool. My second desire was to see this movie take place completely in the future in Tomorrowland. So yeah, the movie starts off so promising. You know, it starts off with the song from Carousel of Progress. We had a lot of visions of the future back in the 50s and 60s. And that's why a lot of us like Tomorrowland over at the Magic Kingdom or Disneyland. It's just this really innocent look at what the future could possibly be like. It was all kinds of possibilities. We only see a very superficial, look at this future. I wanted to see them live in the future. I wanted to see the technology up close because that's what Walt Disney was all about. He was all about, making us live in the future. And he made these theme parks like, Epcot and then the little Tomorrowland region. He made this so that we can get a glimpse of what the future could possibly be like. And this being a Disney movie, I was so disappointed in the fact that we didn't get that. We didn't see how people lived in the future. I mean, the movie's called Tomorrowland. Let us live in Tomorrowland. Let us breathe and live Tomorrowland. So again, yeah, all my criticism of this movie has nothing to do with the way they filmed it, acted it. All of that was great. It's just the premise, the execution of the story, the script. It could have been so much better. They could have given us a better future to look at. What we got in this movie was more of a regular conventional sci-fi movie. What did you guys think of Tomorrowland? Did you like this movie? Do you think they could have made it a lot better?